It's more about complying with the law. I mean, you've got a federal executive order that says you need to do this.
That explanation from Billy Hahn, the executive director of the Virginia High School Sports League, on why they would comply with President Donald Trump's executive order banning transgender girls from girls' sports.
That was the essence of what we needed to do.
Friday, the league said it wasn't deviating from its 2014 policy on the issue, which allowed transgender students to follow an appeal process to be allowed to play the sport that matched their identity. Hahn says what's changed was they had time to review the language of the order and talk with their lawyers in some of their member schools. Trump's order says schools that don't comply could lose federal funding.
You know, when you start talking about a loss of federal funds and a Title IX violation, then that's a pretty tough situation to put a school division into.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who attended the signing ceremony last week, applauded the move online.
I mean, I'm very happy that they made that decision to follow the president's executive order.
Similar feelings from Republican State Senator Tammy Mulcahy, who carried now failed legislation that would have enacted a similar ban at the state level.
Disregarding how many students it affects, the issue is safety, and the issue is fairness. And so regardless if it's just one student or 100 students, it's a fair policy, it's a common sense issue.
You know, you're punishing children, for who they are. So I think that makes no sense.
But it drew criticism from Democrats like State Senator Mamie Locke, who says VHSL has stood by their policy for years.
Now, all of a sudden, you want to reverse it because of an executive order coming out of D.C., made absolutely no sense to me. So, all of a sudden you want to drink the Kool-Aid?
As to how many students this change will actually impact, Hahn clarifies it will not apply to transgender boys, of which there are at most 20 across the state. He wouldn't say the current number of transgender girls for fear of identifying them, but says going back to 2022, they have only approved 9 of them to play in VHSL.
But again, you have to consider how many of those have graduated, and possibly some may not be playing sports anymore.
Now, I asked Hahn what might happen if this order is challenged in court and halted by a judge, as has happened to some other of President Trump's orders. He said it's too early to tell, as they would have to read whatever the language of such an order would say. At the state capitol, Kevin Thompson, CBS 6 News.